to Wafu TV. This is a platform where we facilitate the understanding of elementary mathematics and we guide young learners into loving mathematics, science, and technology. Last time we looked at addition and subtraction of fractions after having looked at addition separately and subtraction separately. Today we are privileged to have another opportunity to look at multiplication of fractions. Under multiplication of fractions, our target is to be able to multiply fractions by the end of the lesson, and equally to be able to interpret and solve word problems in fractions involving multiplication. And if we attain this, we must have learned something new today. Without waste of time, we'll go straight into some examples so that you can practically see what you do or what you're supposed to do when it comes to multiplication of fractions. Our very first example here is 2/3 times 5/8. Now, with multiplication of fractions, the key thing to note is to be able to simplify fractions to their lowest term. And to simplify fractions, we'll make good use of our prime factors that we had done earlier. And if you missed this lesson, you can go to our past lessons to find prime factors. Now, when you look at this problem on the board, it is simple and it is direct. What you have to do is just to find any numerator and any denominator that have a common factor. You use this common factor to simplify or to break down the various fractions until you have it at the minimum and you multiply across. If you look at this, you have 2 and 3, 5 and 8. Which numerator and denominators here have a common factor? You have 2 and 8. So 2 will simplify, 2 will divide itself 1 time, and 2 will divide 8 4 times. Here we don't have any other numerator and denominator that can divide, and so we multiply across. 1 times 5 is 5, and 3 times 4 is 12. That is it as far as this is concerned. Let's look at the second example. This is a little bit different from the first. As you can see, we have a whole number. Finding a fraction of a whole number. Now, another new thing that we've observed here is off. So here is 3/4 of 12. What is 3/4 of 12? 3/4 of 12 is simply 3/4. In multiplication of fractions, when you see off, it means multiplication. So we express this 12/1 to make it a fraction. So here we do the same thing. We find any numerator and denominator that have a common factor. And here 3 and 4 does not. 4 and 12, yes, there is something that can divide. You always start with a list so that it can be simple. So 2 will divide 4 2 times, and 2 will divide 12 6 times. Now we still have 2 and 6 that can divide. 2 will divide itself 1 time, and 2 will divide 6 3 times. At this level, there is nothing else that can divide, so we multiply across. 3 times 3 is 9, and 1 times 1 is 1, and 9/1 is the same as 9. Therefore, 3/4 of 12 is 9. Now, in our third example, we have 3 fractions, and in addition to that, the fractions are mixed fractions. In this case, what do? The first step is to change all the mixed fractions, or mixed numbers as we can also call them, into improper fractions, and we change off to multiplication. So before we simplify, we change all these fractions to improper fractions. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3/2. You bring this multiplication here. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16. You express over 5, and we've said off should be changed to multiplication. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 1 is 17. 17/8. And at this level, you find any numerator and denominator with a common factor. The first we have here is 2 and 16. 2 will divide itself 1 time. 2 divides 16 8 times. We have 8 and 8. So 8 into itself 1 time, and 8 into itself 1 time. We are left with 3, 5, and 17, and nothing there can be simplified. So we multiply across. 3 times 1 times 17 is going to give us 51, and below 1 times 5 times 1 is 5. And if you divide 51 by 5, you're going to have 10 and 1/5. So in this case, first change all the mixed fractions to improper fraction, change off to multiplication, do simplification, multiply across, and your final answer should be as a mixed fraction, because in the problem that is given, the fractions are mixed fractions. There are two questions here, but we will start with A. A fruit seller has 150 avocados. He sells 3/5 of them. How many did he sell? So the first thing is to start from what you know, what is given. And the first thing that we know is number of fruits or number of avocados. Number of avocados is 150. What else do we know? We know the fraction that he sold. So fraction sold is 3/5. Therefore, we can use this fraction that he sold and the number of avocados to find the number of fruits that he sold. Therefore, number sold will be equal to 3/5 of the total number of fruits, which is 150. That is 3/5 times 150/1. 5 here, 1 time. 5 into 15, 3 times, into 0, 0 times. So 3 times 30 is going to give 90 fruits or 90 avocados. Now let's look at the B part. How many fruits were left? First, let's solve and I will explain a few things here. Now we equally have to move from what we know to what we don't know. We know the total number of fruits. Number of fruits is 150. Number sold. In A, we've calculated the number of fruits sold. Number of fruits sold is equal to 90. Therefore, number left will be equal to total number of fruits, which is 150. Take away the number he sold, which will give 60 fruits. This is how you can solve for the number of fruits that were left. But mind you, in some questions, they may not ask A. They will directly ask for B. And for you to be able to find B, you must pass through the stage that we've solved here in A, which means there is no way you will find B without knowing A. So if they don't ask for A and ask for B, you still have to show all this working to be able to come out with your final answer, because you cannot know the number of fruits that were left if you don't know the number of fruits that were sold. Remember, they've only mentioned the total number of fruits and the fraction of fruits that were sold. This is our fifth example, and of course it's another word problem. 2,100 spectators attended a football match. 3/5 of them were adults and 3/5 of the adults were men. How many men were there? We move from what we know to what we don't know, and what we don't know are the number of men, but we know the total number of people who attended the match, and we know the fraction who were adults and the fraction of the adults who were men. So the first thing is to state what we know, and the first thing we know is number of spectators is equal to 2,100. What else do we know? Fraction of adults, which is equal to 3/5. Therefore, number of adults will be equal to 3/5 of 2,100, because it is clearly mentioned here that 3/5 of them. This them stand for spectators. So to find the number of spectators who were adults, you simply calculate 3/5 of the total number of spectators. And 3/5 of 2,100 is 3/5 times 2,100/1. 5 here 1 time, and 5 into 20 or into 21, 4 times. Remember 1. 5 into 10 is 2 times, and 5 into 0, 0. 3 times 420 is equal to, the answer at this level is 1,260. What else do we know? Fraction of adults who were men. That's fraction of men, which is equal to 3/5. Therefore, number of men will be equal to 3/5 of the adults. Here is not 3/5 of the total number of spectators. So here will be 3/5 of 1,260, which is the same as 3/5 times 1,260/1. 5 into itself 1 time. 5 into 12, 2 times, remainder 2. 5 into 26, 5 times, remainder 1. 5 into 10, 2 times. So here we have 252. we can multiply across. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 5 is 15. 5 and carry 1. 3 times 2 is 6 again, plus 1, 7. So the number of men were 756. By moving from what you know to what you don't know, it becomes very easy to interpret and solve word problems in multiplication. If this is understood, then we've come to the end of our lesson today, and we believed you learned something. If you did, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and always comment so that we can improve on our service. See you next time as we are going to be handling division of fractions. Ciao.